Hi there, my name is Chapple and I'm here with Eithne Fitzpatrick. We are both chartered physiotherapists and I have the absolute pleasure of being able to work with Eithne in the clinic in Pilates Physio Cork, but Eithne does also work in the Bonds as well. We are both musculoskeletal physiotherapists with a specialist interest in back pain and women's health or pelvic health. And it isn't just sort of back pain that we love. We just quite like pain, don't we? If it's okay to say that. We both are really quite fascinated with and really passionate about helping people who have got quite persistent pain. And given the current situation with everything that is going on in the world right now, there is quite a spike in people experiencing aches and pains, and quite a lot of people are getting in touch with us just to sort of look for a bit of advice and information. And we just thought that it may be worthwhile just having a bit of a chat and going through some bits and pieces together. So thank you for your time, Eithne, appreciate that. I suppose there is so much we can say, there is so much we can go on about, and we can get quite boring about it all. But if we perhaps start at the start and just sort of even discuss, what is pain?
Thanks, Jo, for having me on. It's lovely to do this with you. Again, it's really hard to know where to kind of start with a topic like this. And pain is something that, can be such a big complex topic. Pain is actually a protective system for us, and it's actually a good thing. It's important to remember that actually, people who are born without the ability to feel pain actually don't survive very long. Pain is very much there, first and foremost, a protective thing for us. I think the problem with pain is that it can often get quite out of hand. So it's like, if you imagine an alarm system, what pain is like, an alarm going off with actual or potential damage to our tissues. And we used to think that it was very much related to tissue damage, that if something like we sprain our ankle, we feel pain, it all makes sense. But we have to then look at, why does pain persist in a lot of people? What's going on there? What happens when healing settles down, but there is still pain? And we know now that pain is much bigger than just what's happening in the tissues, and that the context is so important, like the environment that we're in. And by that I mean everything from how much support we have at home, to our work situation, to so many factors, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, I suppose it really does all start, doesn't it, with the fact that, quite simply, pain is a system in our body that is devised to keep us alive. It is a basic alarm system. But the alarm system, it can be triggered for lots of different reasons, whether you drop a hammer on your toe, or you're under particular stress at work and it flares up irritable bowel syndrome, or whatever. There's lots of different triggers for pain. But it doesn't necessarily, the fact that the alarm system has been triggered doesn't necessarily correlate to actually, as you said, to damage itself. And so then the context around that alarm system being triggered becomes even more relevant, doesn't it? Because
absolutely,
you will hear lots of different sort of examples, and we've met lots of different people over our years in practice, where you can have somebody who has quite a horrific injury, but they're quite oblivious to whatever, or they're not too concerned about the outcomes because they've got complete confidence in their medical team or whatever. And your beliefs and your outlooks and your attitude can really affect how much you listen to that alarm system. If that makes sense at all. And I also think kind of, the interpretation that we give something is huge, because, they've shown that people, let's say, who experience, let's say, something like a really bad episode of back pain, like the people that become then quite fearful of re-injury are the ones that often get stuck in the cycle of
of actually kind of really protecting themselves, and really altering the way they move, and they start avoiding maybe, you know, bending, lifting, things that they've been told maybe by doctors to avoid. And that in itself actually leads to them getting ultimately stiffer, you know, disuse, like weaker muscles, and ultimately keeps them trapped in this cycle of repeat episodes of back pain.
Yeah.
Whereas those that are obviously like, that expose themselves, that know that it's safe to bend and to lift and to move normally, and that aren't afraid to the same extent of re-injury, or have attributed different meaning to it, are often the ones then that, you know, we can see, you know, we both have examples of both these type patients that, you know, they get back to everything even though they've had an awful episode.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so many things to say about what you've just mentioned there, loads of different tangents, but we know that there's a predictive element as well. There's plenty of studies that show that the anticipation of pain or a fearful event or something that is, you know, that will create anxiety for people will create more pain.
Yeah.
Or at least what we should say is it will enhance or amplify a person's pain experience. And I mean, that's massive if you think about the impact of that. And you've highlighted, or you've touched upon something else there, that let's say we have somebody who has a disc injury, you know, because we can hurt our discs, but they heal, you know, just like a cut on the skin. We can cut our skin, but the skin will heal, and we can break a bone, but the bone will heal. We can injure a disc, but the disc will heal as well, provided we are relatively healthy and active and we get good advice and we move in the right way. So we can have an acute or a fresh injury that will cause some degree of pain to some extent, but then we can have that persistent pain. And I think it's probably fair to say that in the presence of an acute injury, if somebody has literally just broken a bone, nobody on earth is going to tell that person just to carry on walking and just to, you know, not worry about their beliefs or whatever, and don't worry about the context. But, you know, yes, you've got pain, but keep on walking. Like there's a time and a place for the advice, isn't there? If you've got a fresh injury, and let's say we've got a broken bone or a disc problem, then there will be very specific advice about how we manage and how we help and how we reduce the pain and how we promote the healing. But it's all sort of quite positive. There's quite a lot that can be done. But then there is this sort of maladapted phase, or there's this phase where the certain period of time has gone where you've got the physiological repair happening, the bone will have healed, the disc will have healed. And we see this quite a lot ourselves, don't we, in our practice, where it may be several months later that somebody presents to us and they still have really bothersome pain. And it's really having a massive, profound impact on the quality of their life. And at that stage, we're dealing with something quite different then, aren't we? We're dealing with something that's adapted, but not necessarily in a very helpful or constructive kind of way. We're dealing with adaptations that are really quite problematic. And so that's, if we find that somebody, let's say, who broke their leg, and they, you know, were limping around for the first few weeks or whatever, and you know, if 7, 8, 9 months down the line they're still limping, with a maladaptive behaviour there, aren't we? Whether it's conscious or unconscious, you know, this is what we see sometimes. And somebody who's had a disc problem, if they've had an acute disc episode and they were told, look, really minimise your bending, minimise the amount you're sitting, let's allow the healing to take place. Yeah, that's all good, but there's still lots you can do. You don't need to be wrapped in a bubble, or in bubble wrap even. Whatever, don't need to be wrapped in anything. But but if you're dealing with somebody who had a disc problem 7 months ago, 5 months ago, and they're still not bending, we've got maladaptive behaviour there, haven't we?
It's a different situation, and it's like our pain system has got better, like too good at protecting us. So if we think of that alarm system, I like to describe it to people like, you know, the same way like with a car alarm, like the car alarm shouldn't be going off all the time. It should be going off if someone's trying to break into the car. But imagine, you know, your pain system getting so sensitive that things that shouldn't cause alarms.
That's a really nice analogy, actually.
Yeah.
Like walking through a car park and then you just brush past a car and the alarm goes off.
And the alarm goes off, yeah. And I mean, you can see it with the people who kind of, who have pain every day. Like everything hurts. They may have had pain for years, and they're the people, they would say they have very high pain thresholds. And by that, what they mean is they literally, they live with pain. And there's always a kind of a variability to people, to pain. Like pain does go up and down. And there are often kind of pain is rarely kind of like static. It's a kind of often a kind of a flow. But I also think it's always important to remember, that pain, no matter where it comes from, is always an output from the brain. Which is not me saying it's all in your head, like it's far from it, but I mean in terms of understanding the systems, and also like in terms of understanding that it's so much more than just the message that part of your body is telling you, like that back pain, it's how much stress you're under, like as you say, how much sleep you're getting, all the other factors, everything impacts it.
So I think that's why at this point in time when we're sort of dealing, so we are now May 2020, we're in the middle of sort of global pandemic times, and so the world is not the same place that it was this time last year. We are seeing that in our work, aren't we, in the number of people who are contacting us, whether that's through emails, whether that's phone calls, whether that's people looking to have online consults with us. There's people who we haven't seen in a long time getting in touch and just saying that my pain is off the scale, and they haven't had an accident, they haven't had an injury, there's no new symptoms, there's no new issue going on, but they're reaching out because their pain is back. What would you sort of say could be the classic sort of drivers or the things that may be behind the reasons for that at this time?
I mean, I think the thing is that there is so much global like stress and uncertainty and anxiety out there at the moment that we've been kind of like, the novelty factor is far gone now at this stage. We're stuck in.
I didn't ever get that factor, but anyway. Talking about me personally, but anyway.
I know, but it's kind of like, there's so much stress there and fear, of the unknown, and we have to remember that our nervous systems and our nervous systems don't know the difference between, real threat and perceived threat. Absolutely. So in other words, like our nervous systems are like going into hyper overdrive really with all this. And we may or may not be aware of that. Like, it might be that we're just addicted to looking at the news all the time, and like kind of like, we're very much in our heads. We're kind of, worrying about everyone that we know and that. But a lot of the time it's interesting to kind of really feed into your body what's going on, because like our fight or flight systems really get activated with this. And what we know about like stress is that it really amplifies pain. So if there's there might already be a part of your body that might be a little bit more weak or vulnerable, and you can be guaranteed put someone in the situation that they're at now with the amount of stress and uncertainty and change in routine and everything, and suddenly it's like it's sparked off the pain.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's huge, and I also think like, we're kind of like as humans, I think we love our routines. I think we love like knowing what's what. Having work 9 to 5, and then like coming home, going to the gym for half an hour, like whatever it is. Like everything has had to change.
So complete change to the routine. Sleep patterns sometimes quite profoundly affected. Childcare sort of gone, and sort of juggling children at home all the time, partners working from home, everybody working from home, the lockdown, the isolation, the impact on our ability to exercise. If people are sort of social exercisers, they're going to the gym all the time, then that's not happening right now. And so quite a lot of potential sort of factors for really ratcheting up people's stressors, I suppose.
Like a lot of stressors.
Yeah,
and then, like, also to consider the fact that, like, you know, grandparents, what you said about childcare, but like not having support from people, like not being able to kind of just say, I'm just going to leave the kids with you for 2 hours. It's very much like one of my patients was saying that, like, she's having to do 9 to 5 and then going home, and then her husband is then working from home, so she's having to do kind of all the kids stuff in the evening, he's doing all the kids stuff in the morning and the day. I mean, it's people juggling.
It's ridiculous levels of plate spinning at the moment, isn't it? It's just it's when does it end, and it's that sort of, as you said, it's that unknown, it's that uncertainty as well. And I think, sort of circling back to what you said at the start in terms of pain as protective, which is a good thing, because once upon a time when we were living in caves, running away from saber-toothed tigers. I don't know if that's actually factually correct that we ran away from saber-toothed tigers, but you know, once upon a time when we were sort of hunters and gatherers, we needed our nervous system and our memory, and the connection between those two things to help us keep alive, and you will hear sort of specialists in the area of pain sort of talking about, you know, if we are looking on the horizon and we see a saber-toothed tiger, we're going to run, we're going to have that fear response and we're going to run. So that sort of fear, the beliefs, memory, and our nervous system, it's all about this sort of protectiveness, pain, and our pain response, which is an output, just like that oversensitive car alarm, as you said, is an output. You know, sometimes it can just be that the threat might not be the saber-toothed tiger anymore. It might be prospect of losing a job, or somebody being seriously ill, or I don't know, sort of the global pandemic, whatever it is, not being able to exercise, all of these different factors, having to juggle everything, you know, your routine being out the window. It's all these different sort of stressors that become the new saber-toothed tiger.
Absolutely.
And we are still biological. Still biological, and we will still respond in the same way. So whether or not we think we're sort of vastly intellectual and all of that, you know, we still have this sort of
well, we have a reptilian brain inside in us, you know, and that's the thing. It's very much our reptilian brain deciding, like, okay,
I detect threat.
I detect threat, exactly, and I'm going to respond this way, exactly. So,
I mean, the fact that there is sort of a lot of people experiencing flare-ups with pain, or it might not even be that this pandemic has been the trigger. You know, I think everything that we're saying is relative to people who are experiencing persistent pain anyway. What sort of things are you saying to people to sort of, you know, what sort of positive things can we do to help? Is there anything that can be done, or do we just have to live with it now?
I think there's a lot that can be done. I mean, there's lots of different things I could talk around here. Like, one thing I wanted to say was that whole idea of juggling and kind of, like, you know, having to manage absolutely everything. And often, you know, maybe before this pandemic, kind of leading a very busy life, like going from, you know, work to being home with the kids and, you know, the gym, and just, it's, you know, bang, 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 everything. Like, you know, we don't appreciate sometimes that we're literally in 4th or 5th gear all the time. Like, you know, we are operating like, you know, all systems go. And I think that can come out in our sleep. It can come out as like insomnia, difficulty switching off. Definitely links to pain around that, because like poor sleep is like massively predictive of future pain, back and neck pain, you know. So one thing I would say, like, for the people who kind of feel like they're constantly, like, they're really kind of like stuck up in their heads and like, you know, going either in terms of thinking or kind of always needing to be kind of busy, I would be saying, you know, what would it be like to kind of just do a little bit of stopping? And by that, I mean, like, you know, a few deep breaths, a little bit of kind of, you know, some kind of nice gentle Pilates or yoga, you know, to kind of bring us down, because I think a lot of the time we don't really feel our bodies when they're in fight or flight. And I do think, like, the more like awareness we can just bring inwards and just, you know, notice, like, is it our jaw? Is it our jaw? Is that our tummy? Is it our where do we clench? Like, where are we holding on for dear life? And we can often track that then to kind of the areas that we tend to get sore.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, completely, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a bit of a sort of, somebody says, oh yeah, I have pain and I've been told that I just need to go and chill out, and I've been told I just need to go and do meditation, and and I can appreciate how unhelpful that seems when you're in when you're in the height of a really horrific pain flare up. The fact of the matter is there is relevance to breath awareness practice, mindfulness practice, and it's not just touchy-feely stuff. It's grounded in really good solid evidence as well. And there's a lot that we can do to help our physiology. I'm half wondering, Eithne, actually, if perhaps we need to sort of sit down and have another one of these sessions to really explore all the things that can be done, because I don't think we're going to do it much justice.
All today. I know. Yeah.
I'm conscious that we both have online consults to do shortly as well, and it could be that we've kind of already
touched on a lot of stuff
on and bored people already. But
a lot of food for thought.
Yeah, I think what we should do is do another session chatting about, okay, so what are the positive things people can do? How can they help, and things like that? Would you be up for that?
Yeah, sounds great.
Fantastic. I suppose just so that we don't leave people hanging, like when
cliffhanger that this is,
we can tell you it's like describing the water to a drowning man, isn't it? It's like there's a lot of pain at the minute. Bye. But
I know
it'd be a little bit more helpful than that. And so that we're not going on forever and ever. What sort of resources do you generally recommend to clients?
So retrainpain.org is a really good website that does pain education. It's free pain education, and it's little bite-sized bits, and it's really well done.
So that's retrainpain.org.
Retrainpain.org.
.org, yeah. And there's one that I really like as well, and I think you're a fan of it as well. Pain Ed.
Pain Ed is a great one. .com.
Yeah. Is it pained.com or is it pain.ed? Pain Ed.
We can put the links in underneath.
We'll do that. That's the clever thing to do.
We'll have to find it out ourselves. And the other thing that's very helpful that I tell people about is Curable, which is an app.
Okay.
Now it's paid, but it's great in that it kind of really brings in pain science. It talks through kind of where to start with something like a bit of mindfulness, exercise, like the importance of, really trying to just, take control and get to know your pain and get to know what we can do about it,
So that's Curable.
Curable, yeah.
And just while we think of it, you've got Calm, and there's another one as well. Headspace, that's it. Yeah, they're quite nice, just to sort of explore and see. But I'm going to hold you to that. We'll do another session of exploring what things we can do to be quite positive, and how we can really really positively impact the pain cycle that some people are finding themselves in. But that we shall say for another day of chewing people's ears. But thanks so much for your time, and I really appreciate that. And we shall do this again very shortly. All right.
Thanks, Jo.
Thank you, my dear. Take care. Bye.
Bye.